So when I was like 8.5, I went to camp and my counselor was an adult who had braces, and I told her I had a sore throat, and she checked my throat and she said, "It's not sore." And I was like, "You can't see a sore throat." And I was miffed by this. So behind her back, I was a little brat, and I told the other girls, "I don't trust adults who have braces." And I planted this seed of disrespect in their hearts, and they all stopped respecting our counselor because she was an adult who had braces. And God was like, "Oh, you're gonna be punished for that someday." My throat really was sore, for the record, though. Suzanne. How was that for an intro? Not great? Okay, here's a different one. When I first saw this dress, I was obsessed. I wasn't going to make it, though. One, because I didn't know how I was going to pull off the webbing. I don't just have webs squirting out of my wrists like some of you. But mainly because of the intimidation factor of the knowledge that no matter how well I do, I won't look nearly as good as Zendaya did in the dress. You may have noticed that as obsessed as I am with her red carpet style, she's literally my #1 fashion icon and nobody holds a candle to her on the red carpet except the occasional Lady Gaga. I don't really ever copy her looks. And there's a reason behind that. Too intimidating. But here's the thing. This year, one of my New Year's resolutions is to up my style game and focus a little bit more on fashion and maybe a little bit less on costumes. And aside from even my own goals, everybody else loved this dress too. I mean, the DMs asking me to make it came flooding in like my tears at the last Spider-Man movie. No spoilers, but when a certain someone saves a certain other someone, if you know, you know. You don't know, because they don't let birds in the theater yet. We're still fighting for that. Point is, I'm obsessed with Spider-Man, and so are all of you. I'm obsessed with Zendaya's fashion, and so are all of you. I want to up my fashion game, and I'm sure you'd like to see that. So, you and I are going to make a deal. I don't look like Zendaya, never have and never will, so as long as you don't expect that from me, let's make a dress. First, to find the materials. Now, there was nothing quite suitable at Joann's or Hobby Lobby, so I checked out this cute local place that was just a few plane rides away in Phoenix, Arizona.
Here I am taking off and then flying over Detroit, Chicago, the Atlantic Ocean, the territory occupied by the 8th power of the alien forces of Zaldoria, and finally, Phoenix, where I found the enchanting Sass Fabric Superstore.
What's that? You like my outfit in that clip?
Well, I hope you haven't already forgotten about that New Year's resolution of mine. No, not to wear high heels around the house more, but to up my style/fashion game. I'm taking it quite seriously, which is why I started off my year by purchasing a butt-ton of items from Thredup, the beloved sponsor of this video. Thredup is this online consignment and thrift store that will bring a smile to your face, your wallet, and the planet. If you head on over there right now and use the code McCara, you'll get 30% off your first order as well as free shipping. First, I got these super comfy Zara pants that can go with anything if you're brave enough, like this white Zara shirt that looks like something a World War II nurse would have worn under her uniform. It looks great in photos, and look ma, still has tags. Under that I wore this black satin, not to be confused with Satan, shirt that was originally $50, but I got it for $5. My favorite purchase probably has to be these Halogen X Atlantic Pacific shoes, which were originally $190 and I paid $21. Another great find was this girl ferned skirt, originally $179, but I paid $10.50. It's perfect for making a dramatic entrance that says, "I'm angry," but in a fashionable way. It looks great with this Zara shirt, and I really feel like this Zara jacket says, "My second cousin almost joined a motorcycle gang once." You may have noticed by now, I'm really partial to the brand Zara. I mean, I've never bought anything from the actual store, but anytime I'm thrifting and I see a Zara item, I grab it, which is why my favorite feature on Thredup is the fact that you can search by brand.
My second favorite item has got to be this skirt, which is real leather.
Save a cow, thrifty leather. I think it's safe to say that I will be doing most of my clothes shopping on Thredup from now on, especially in the winter when I have no desire to leave my house. So go now, you fashionable little hermit, you. Follow that link in my description and use the code McCara for 30% off your first order.
I call this outfit, preschooler slips into a coma and wakes up as a 26-year-old and has to pick out an outfit for a job interview, and she nails it.
And did I mention these shoes?
And of course I call this outfit, let's go fabric shopping so that we can finish this video, because the sooner you finish this video, the sooner you can do what you need to do, like helping your grandma put her socks on. Now I'm definitely going to make a mock-up, but I want to make it out of something that's also going to be really cute, so let's find a fun but cheap mock-up fabric. When looking for a mock-up fabric, try to pick one that you would never otherwise buy for anything else, because remember, variety is the spice of life. Speaking of spicy, drape your fabric over your hunky human cart until he looks like a disco Julius Caesar. Now for our actual dress fabric, we're going to want an opaque flesh-colored fabric as well as sort of a see-through one. Search relentlessly till you see one that's the right texture and feel one that's the right color.
Now you want to feel for the right color. This feels like the right color. It's right. Wow, I pressed myself.
While getting your fabric cut, check up on your human cart. Make sure he still seems entertained. Good. Now grab some sequins.
Get a close-up of this. I'm not that close.
On my flight back home, I somehow still had Wi-Fi, and I came across this picture, and it made me wonder, is that how you're really supposed to hold a bird? So I googled, how do you hold a bird? And but, you know, since that is technically the correct way to do it, I am not going to do it the correct way. Oh, back to the dress. Make sure you get some metallic black fabric paint. I would recommend getting 3 bottles. And then, if you have the same mouth shape as a Tyrannosaurus Rex, I recommend getting some braces. Wow, 4.5 minutes in, and we're just now draping the dress. I should probably be fired. Now listen, I'm going to be doing things a little bit differently, because my dad doesn't like the way the top of Zendaya's dress is cut, and my only goal in life is to please my dad. Just joking, obviously. Except that I'm not. I mean, I am, but Am I though? If you want your dress to look just like Zendaya's, you're going to want to drape it like this, but this is how I draped mine. Love you, Dad. I knew I'd want to do multiple mock-ups to make this dress perfect, and for my first mock-up, I used a sort of see-through muslin, pulling the fabric tightly over my bodice and then tracing the lines underneath, picking at my new mouth jewelry as I went, occasionally asking Garion for his opinion.
If I'm gonna make the train effect, don't I have to round the bottom? Do you get what I'm saying? Are you falling asleep?
Well, these are the pieces I ended up with. Then I sewed them all together and tried the dang thing on.
So I tried on mock-up number 1 and it fit pretty terribly. No part of it fit at all. So I'm gonna make some adjustments and hopefully mock-up number 2 will go a little bit better. Now I took a little break because my mouth started hurting really bad, but I took some pain medications and they ended up working. But in the meantime, I wrote a song. Of course you do. You don't have a choice.
I took note of the things that didn't quite fit on the first mock-up and tried to adjust them on the second. And it didn't turn out looking perfect, but
This actually kind of fits. It kind of looks like the girl from the movie that it's either a disco movie or a mafia movie.
it's this Michelle Pfeiffer movie. Anyway, looking at this dress made me envision a very distinct ethereal disco aesthetic. So I slapped a flashlight on my tripod, then wasted time filming this little photo shoot.
Good afternoon and good morning. I'm sure you're as exhausted as I am. Yesterday I spent the whole day making mock-ups and none of them turned out looking quite like I needed them to. On top of that, I realized the little song I wrote missed the deadline for this year's Grammys. Suffice it to say, I was feeling a bit defeated. But then my table started turning. The coffee table I ordered off of Amazon arrived in the mail, so I'm feeling quite championious. And I'm going to ride this wave of championhood into the making of my final dress, even though I'm really not prepared to. But I have to get this done because I have to get the video out within the next 4 days because of a very secretive reason which I would tell you, but I don't want to. So feel free to theorize in the comments, and if you guess correctly, I'll heart your comment, and if you guess incorrectly, I'll be even more likely to heart your comment.
Now, because I ended up liking my second mock-up dress way too much, I didn't want to cut it apart. So I traced my original mock-up onto some paper and just tried to remember the things that I changed. And if you're wondering what sort of things I talked to Garion about to while away the hours,
You must know, ducks, stupidest. Chickens, they're a lot smarter than most people give them credit for, but not as smart as rats.
once that was settled, I traced those paper pieces onto my flesh-colored braces, man. Then I traced those same pieces onto my mesh fabric. And pro tip, I chose stretchy fabrics for both these layers so that I wouldn't have to add a zipper to the back. And here are oh my gosh, 10 panels you will end up with. When you put it like that, 10 panels sounds like a lot of work. It makes me sound impressive. But honestly, it really came together quite simply. It wasn't a lot of work and I'm not that impressive. Except when I do this. Sew all the satin pieces to each other first and then join all the mesh pieces to each other as if you're making 2 separate dresses. And then, as the Bible says about marriage, the 2 shall become 1. Except I think that verse specifically is talking about finances, when you join your finances together. Oh yeah, I tried sewing the 2 layers together along the top and then flipping it right side out, but it didn't hang right, so I just ripped the seams apart and then ended up hot gluing it. Then I forgot to add the leg slit, you know, the ventilation for that easily overheated left leg, you know, classic left leg thing. So I just picked open the side seam, starting at the bottom, going up to about the mid-thigh area.
We are just gonna get to the painting tomorrow. That is enough work for tonight. I am ready for bed. Clearly, I've got my blue light blocking glasses on, my retainer in, and it just occurred to me that I remind myself of a Pixar character, but I'm not sure if it's Kari from The Incredibles or the girl that says, "I'm a piranha." This phase was supposed to happen so long ago, and my life is like a makeover movie played backwards.
The next day I was cheered up though as I came across this memory of a doodle I did over a guy working out. However, my mood was redampened as I came across a DM featuring this picture in response to a cute selfie I posted of my braces.
It's just so hard to get things done when you feel so uninspired, you know? What do you mean leave the house, get some sunshine? It's winter. There's nothing you can do in the winter except... Gary, you genius.
Hey there, friend. Just checking in. How are you doing? You look like you need a reminder to do something fun and spontaneous today. Why don't you tape some knives to the bottom of your favorite pair of boots and go find a pond? You'll thank me later. Oh hey, this shot is really cool. Just wait for it.
It's painting day! Now I'm going to do a couple little test runs. First, by making a small scale version of this with paper just to practice the formation of the webs.
I only made it about 2 minutes into this process before the critiquing party arrived. And by critiquing party, I mean JJ.
This is how I think it should look. They don't obviously know what a spiderweb looks like, because spiderwebs don't look like what that dress looks like.
You know every species of spider and what all of their webs look like, though.
All the ones I've ever seen.
After I tested the paint and JJ tested my patience, and then after we cut hundreds of sequins in half and I lost them all, I put stuffing under the curvier bits of my dress because seeing it laying there all saggy was just not pleasing to the eye, and because wrinkles would interfere with painting.
Okay, so now it is time to paint Zendaya's dress. And obviously this is not going to turn out quite as nice as Zendaya's, we've figured out by now. And if I'm pronouncing your name wrong, I just ask that
you don't get mad at me.
You know, one of my biggest pet peeves is people who get angry when you mispronounce their names. I'm not talking about the people that like you call them Ariel and they're like, oh, actually it's Ariel. I'm talking about the people who get offended. I'm talking about the Cassandras. Now, like, I grew up with a Cassandra, and it was like ingrained in my head the name Cassandra. So then when I met my first couple of Cassandras, I would inadvertently, accidentally, every once in a while, just be like, oh, hey, Cassandra. And when you call a Cassandra, you hear the sound of a distant raging fire. The walls around her turn red. Demons rise up from a pit, sprout wings, and surround her, ready to breathe fire on you as she angrily says,
"It's Cassandra."
And you know, like, if anybody has room to speak on this, I would say it's me, because people get my name wrong like 99% of the time.
Is it possible to speak to Tewers?
Yeah.
I let a coworker call me Michaela for a whole year. I had a pastor who called me Maraka for 2 years. Majority of people call me Makara. And you know what?
I don't care.
Because it's hard enough living on this planet without going through the daily stress of acing the nuances of the A in someone's name. You know, we never get their name right and they just let us. Guys with 3-syllable names. Like, have you ever met a Benjamin or a Joshua that you didn't call Ben or Josh? You know, we just cannot be bothered. If a girl has a 3-syllable name, you know, Michaela, Stephanie, Shania, we go through the effort. You know, it's all 3 syllables. But if it's a guy, it's like Benjamin. Oh my gosh. You want me to go through all that work, all those syllables for a guy? We can't even do 2 syllables for a guy most of the time. Like Matthew? No, you're not. Am I saying that we need to make a big change in that area? I don't know. I don't know what I'm saying. I don't really care about anything. And by the way, in case anybody was curious how my name is pronounced, it's Macrelia.
After finishing that Nobel Prize worthy rant, I realized that I really need to have something in between the 2 layers of fabric, otherwise the paint bleeds and it looks bad. Luckily, I had these paper pattern pieces sitting around and they fit perfectly. What are the odds? Now, what you're seeing is not an accurate representation of how quickly things went. Believe it or not, this is a sped up time lapse. Part of what took so long was adding sequins to the paint while it was still wet. But aside from the fact that this was long and agonizing and my neck hadn't hurt that bad since I did the Ariana Grande Grammys dress, this was actually a really fun experience. And just a reminder, if you like my outfits in this video, I am wearing something from Thredup in pretty much every scene, except those shorts. I had to wear something ugly that I didn't mind getting paint on. Anyway, my number 1 tip to making the webbing experience go as smoothly as possible is probably to watch a live stream of your sister competing in the Mrs. World competition. But remember, this is only possible if she first wins the American title and before that wins a state title. Basically, your sister has to be a mega bad butt. In case that reaction didn't give it away, she won! That is right, my sister. My sister is Mrs. World, and I am an adult who has braces and sits on the floor finger painting in sweatpants. And by the way, I couldn't even do that by myself at the end there. Thank you, Courtney. I have more gratitude in my heart for you than there are half sequins lost around my house.
The fact that I thought that would take like 2 hours and it actually took like 10, what does that say about me? Thank you. Day 4, maybe 5. I don't know what day it is, but I know that for the past few days I've been eating, sleeping, and drinking this dress. I didn't know what you're thinking.
Eating the stress, really?
There you go. Now to peel the dress off of the paper / plastic / fabric that was underneath it. Now to close up the back and add the straps. So first I should probably check on Garion. Yep, good work, buddies. House made 132 years in pristine condition before he showed up.
Now listen, even though getting Garion was probably the best decision I've ever made, I do want to put a PSA out there. Don't get a bird if you don't like having a damaged house or damaged hair, because he's kind of ruined me in both those departments. Oh, now might be a good time to start treating this video like a tutorial. Before sewing the back of your dress shut, try it on inside out and pin it to fit you exactly. Then be sure to press the seams out so that it lays flat and doesn't look like you have an elongated booty crack. I'm sorry, Dad. You thought that was crude, didn't you? I'll go wash my mouth out with soap now. Here I am gluing things into the thing. Then I made straps out of this shiny elastic that I actually found on the floor at the store. But I wasn't satisfied with the width, so I folded it in half and sewed it down like that. You'll want to make your straps about the length of a standard ceiling fan blade. To avoid impersonating a contortionist like I had to, I recommend sewing the straps to the back first and then pinning them where they hit in the front.
Okay, now let's get some red carpet makeup on. And now, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, it's time for the grand reveal. Or should I say, the Grandea reveal.
Glad you brought that up. Yes, I did take some creative liberties with the back because I felt like it needed to look more like a spider web, and also with just the two straps, the sides kept kind of flapping open and I needed something to secure the sides. But while I have you here, I'd like to throw out an idea that someone should make a short version of this dress and wear it with a jacket and like go to a party or something. You're not gonna make it though, are you? You're just gonna keep sitting there on your lazy tush getting your doctorate degree or some other idle activity, and I made this whole tutorial for nothing. Well, at least it was kind of fun. Anyway, there you have it, how to make a wish.com version of Zendaya's dress.
Zendaya, we're here.
Oh look, here's my boyfriend, Tom Holland. You can't see him because he's a little short. Let me help. Thank you for watching, and my deepest condolences on everything your eyes and ears just went through. And don't forget, if you'd like to be as fashionable as me and maybe slightly as fashionable as Zendaya, check out Thredup and use the code McKara for 30% off. Oh, and did I mention these shoes?